Want to bake a delicious, quick and simple bread that's ready in minutes and also uses up a glut of summer vegetables? I'm Rhiannon, owner of the Epsom Bakehouse, and you can subscribe if you'd like more bread making tips and recipes that help you bake great bread at home. You can also sign up for my regular newsletter in the link below this video. And today I'll be showing you how to make a courgette, cheddar and thyme soda bread that's ready in minutes and is a real crowd pleaser. This is especially great if you're enjoying lots of summer vegetables, or if, like me, you overgrew one of your courgettes and you'd really like to use up that surplus from the garden. So let's get baking. So the first thing you'll need to do to make this bread is take about 400 grams of courgette, it's probably only going to be about half of this one, and grate it finely. Then pop it into a sieve or colander over a bowl and add about half a teaspoon of salt. This helps draw some of the excess moisture out of the courgette and it will drip into the bowl. After about 15 to 30 minutes, just gently squeeze the courgette, get any excess moisture out, and then you're ready to use it and add it into your bread. And here's how that should look when you're finished. And you can see in the bowl quite a lot of liquid in there that's just come out of the courgettes. So that's now ready to use in my final dough. You'll need a few other simple ingredients for your courgette, cheddar and thyme bread. And you can see all the measurements for these in the description of this video. So first you'll need some strong white wheat bread flour, 250 grams of strong white wheat bread flour. You'll also need about 100 grams of grated cheddar, or you could use another hard cheese with a strong flavour. If you can, use a mature or extra mature cheddar to get a really delicious taste in your final bread. Then you'll need about 5 grams or a teaspoon of salt and your rising agent, which for this is going to be bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, about 7 grams of that or a teaspoon and a half. And your final flavour, which is some thyme, really delicious fragrant one. You could also use rosemary or chives chopped up finely, ready to go into your bread. Or if you'd rather skip the herbs, then do that as well. Then finally, as well as the courgette being part of your liquid in your dough, you will also need about 200 to 250 millilitres of buttermilk, or you can make a half and half mixture of yoghurt, plain yoghurt and milk, and give that a good stir. And perhaps you could add a small dash, about half a teaspoon of vinegar to make sure that it is an acidic mixture. And the reason you need the buttermilk or the yogurt and milk mixture that's acidified is that that's going to react with the bicarbonate of soda in your dough to create the gas that's going to rise your dough in the oven. And that reaction will happen as soon as you add all your ingredients together. So there's no rising time. You want to get that dough into the oven as soon as you've made it and shaped it onto your baking tray. So have your oven preheating to about 220 degrees centigrade as you're making this bread so that you're ready to pop this into the oven as soon as it's ready to go. So add all the dry ingredients into a bowl, ready to give them a mix. So you've got your strong white wheat bread flour in there, and that is a flour with a higher protein content. So you're looking for a flour of between 11 and 13% protein, or 11 to 13 grams of protein per 100 grams, and that's going to give you a kind of structure to your final loaf. So your strong white wheat bread flour, and then your salt and bicarbonate of soda, and your dried or freshly chopped thyme leaves. So give them all a stir. And then up next, you're going to add in your grated cheese. And again, stir that into the mixture. Now you're ready to add in the drained grated courgette. And again, start to stir that in. This might start to be getting a little bit clumpy at the moment. Obviously, you've put some moisture in with the courgette. So really try to get it evenly distributed into that dry flour mixture. So you may wish to use, for example, I've got this dough scraper here, or use a spoon to just cut up the chunks of courgette into the flour. Finally, you're going to add in your buttermilk or your yogurt and milk mixture. Now, you might not need all of this mixture. I said between about 200 and 250 milliliters. That's because obviously you've added in some moisture with the courgette, so you may not need to add all of this in. So perhaps start with about 200 mils, and if you do need to add more in, then go for it. And then simply start to bring together your dough with your spoon or your scraper. So it should be fairly wet, but it should hold its structure. So once you've brought your dough together, it should look a bit like this. It's holding its shape, but it's still really, really sticky and wet. And you want your dough to be quite sticky because you want it to rise in the oven. So if you've not added too much liquid in, your dough is going to be really tight and dry and it will not stretch out and meant to rise in the oven. You'll also need a lined baking tray to put your dough on and have a little bit of flour to one side so that you can roll your final dough in. Pretty much for aesthetic purposes, you'll get that beautiful floury crust on your final loaf. So tip your dough out onto the work surface and then simply roll your dough into the flour to shape it into a rough ball. So once you finish shaping your dough, then put it straight onto your lined baking tray. Final thing you're going to want to do before you put this into the oven is cut a deep cross into your soda bread. And this helps develop your crust. So along the lines of the cross, the dough will open up and form a delicious crust as it bakes. And you're now ready to put your dough into the oven to bake. So it's going to be in the oven for a good 20 to 25 minutes. That's quite a wet dough, so you need to give it time to bake fully through. So into your oven at 220 degrees centigrade for 20 to 25 minutes to bake through your loaf. And there you have your finished courgette, cheddar, and thyme loaf, fresh out the oven. Smells absolutely amazing. You might just be able to see a little green hint of the courgette cooked inside, and that wonderful cheesy smell. It's just a delicious treat. Going to go really well with perhaps a summer picnic or a quick lunch with friends. You can see you get that golden brown crust all over, and underneath a lovely hollow tap so that you know it is well baked through. So make sure you leave your loaf to cool. It might be hard to resist tearing into it, but do just let it settle and cool before you chop into it and enjoy this delicious warm loaf. Do give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this recipe and let me know in the comments if you do try it out and how your soda bread turned out. As a reminder, you can find the recipe in the comments, as well as a link to sign up to my regular newsletter for more bread making tips, recipes, information on all my online classes, and much more. Do follow along with the channel, and I'll see you back here soon for more bread making tips to help you bake great bread at home.